All right. Hi, my name is Anya Nielsen, and I chose to do the court and judicial social work job. So, why did I choose this career? Personally, I have always been interested in going into law, particularly being a lawyer. My dad is a lawyer, so working in the courtroom has always been a huge goal of mine. Before this assignment, I hadn't really heard anything about this career in particular, and so it did pique my interest. As well, I also did join the class just a couple days ago, and it was one of the last careers left. But actually, after researching it, I found that it was something that did actually interest me, which was pretty cool. I think it's a great way to help protect people's basic human rights, and also it's a great way to play a role in helping people receive the justice they deserve. And after researching it a little bit, I also found that it's a great way to motivate people to change their ways and find a better path in their life. And then my last bullet point is just Jackie Williamson. That is one of my best friend's moms who has gone through a lot of careers. And right now, she is a social worker and she is loving it. And I got to talk with her about it, and she did say that the job never ends, but she is loving the impact that she is having on children and just giving people opportunities that they maybe wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So she is a huge inspiration. So what are the values of this career? Now, this career can make a huge difference to those who don't have people rooting for them. People going through these difficult times do need a great support system, and not everybody has access to one. Not everybody is blessed with an amazing support system. And so making sure that you can be that for somebody is a huge, huge deal. It also helps people carve a pathway to a new life and break the negative cycles that maybe have been going on for a while. These both are very, very important. Actually, while I was doing my research, I came across an interview with Kevin Blumenberg, and he was incarcerated at 16. And in this interview with Jane Addams College of Social Work, he said that one of the most important things a social worker can do is restoration. He said that these court and judicial social workers need to understand what it means to be incarcerated. Because if not, then these people are coming home to a system that is not welcoming to them and that they will not be able to succeed in the same way that we are able to succeed. And so I think that all of those points are just very, very valuable, and I think we need more people to do these things. What are the job responsibilities for the court and judicial social workers? So they can perform community safety or offender assessments, provide forensic evaluations, custody and guardianship recommendations, mediation or parent coordination, or expert testimony in civil or criminal matters. They can work in the areas of corrections, law enforcement, probation, parole. The roles performed by social workers who are employed by courts are also, like I said, probation, parole, or aftercare officer, legal aid or legal services social worker, counselor or therapist in correctional settings. Another point that I want to make is that normally when we think about the judicial system and the courts, we think of lawyers and judges, but social workers are just as important in these situations. And just because we don't hear about them as often does not mean that they are minor or have little influence, because neither one of those things are true. I actually also wanted to add that the social workers, a couple other things that are really important are that they develop and maintain relationships with community providers, and they also provide all services in a manner that is gender responsive and trauma informed. So there is a lot of information that these social workers need to be informed about. The qualities that people going into these jobs should have. The main 4 ones that are picked are compassion, empathy, active listening skills, and patience because, well, people in prison are obviously people just as we are, but I think sometimes that can get overlooked, and it's so important to make sure that you can be empathetic to the trauma that these people have gone through, whether they were falsely accused or whether there were certain situations that made them do the things that they did. I think really being understanding and just actively listening and being compassionate with them is extremely important. Patience is also super important because these people may have behavioral issues and can be really hard to work with, but just making sure that you remember why you do the job that you do is just really important. A couple other qualities I would say are important would be critical thinking and organizational skills. Those are important in this career just like they are in any other career. Yeah. So how much school and licensing is needed to become a court and judicial social worker? So a court and judicial social worker needs to have either a bachelor's or master's degree in social work. There are a lot of degree options. Some examples: LMSW, which is licensed master social worker, LCSW, which is a licensed clinical social worker, and LMHC, which is a licensed mental health counselor, etc. There are a lot of other ones. And so depending on which specific career you choose, there are different licenses required, just like in a lot of jobs. Current job prospects and salaries for this job. So I was reading that social work is, just as a whole, one of the fastest growing careers right now. Some job prospects in this specific section are a family recovery court coordinator, which makes around a salary of $47,000. And their mission is to provide therapeutic and legal services for families affected by substance use disorder and involved with a family dependency process. Their main goal is to just bring families back together and just make sure that the issues that once tore them apart are resolved and just, making sure everything is happy and healthy. Another career I found was the parole officer, whose salary is around $50,000 to $75,000. These officers monitor the progress of people who were once in prison and are now released, people that were released early, or maybe just the people that are on parole. They help these people find treatment for their mental health issues, whether this is addictions that they're battling, and making sure that they are attending their AA meetings or conducting drug tests and making sure that they are drug free and clean. These are all super important and make a huge difference to the journeys of those who are going through this. The last career or job that I chose was the correctional therapist, which is one that was super interesting to me as I was reading it, and their salary is around $60,000. So this can include prison adjustment, pre-release and post-release, vocational and marital, family readjustment, and work with adolescent adjustment problems. These are the people that get to work with people in prisons or people who have just gotten out of prison, and just make sure that they are getting the support and the therapy that they need to continue their life and really just create a new path for themselves. Reading about this, it really stood out to me. I think that even myself, I kind of tend to group these people into one section when in reality, when given the right resources and the right support, they can do great things just as we are doing. So that is something that I want to look more into myself. Some interesting discoveries I found while doing my research was that there are just so many ways to be involved in the court and judicial systems. I think when we hear court and judicial, we automatically just think of judges and lawyers and all of this stuff, but we cannot forget about the social work. I think is a huge part of it. And again, I feel like even when I hear social work, I think of just like the adoption people and the family people. But yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed researching this and learning more about this. Another thing I found interesting was that the court and judicial social workers can review legal and court screening documentation, and they can work with patients to analyze their offending behavior patterns and identify behavioral changes, need for implementation of supports that may reduce likelihood of pre-trial arrests. I think this is a great way to make a difference in the world. I don't know, that was something that really stood out to me. If we can figure out why things were happening and like making sure that we're giving the support to those who need it, there would be a huge difference in the crime rates and etc. I also learned that it is important for social workers to be able to talk with prison administration or other people who run the prison industrial complex and work with them to start carving out a pathway for returning citizens. Again, like I said before, prisoners are people just as we are, and I think I cannot even imagine just being in prison and then having to go into the real world without the support. And so, yeah, again, that was something that really stood out to me. The questions that I have chosen were: what positive impact can social workers in the court and judicial settings have on those who are in the judicial system, whether that is the victims, the accused, or the family members of the victims or family members of the accused, etc. And my next question would be: how can jobs in this field negatively affect the people working in it, whether that is emotionally or physically, etc. So you don't need to answer both of them, but if you want to pick one and answer it, that would be cool. Anyways, that was all that I had. Thank you for listening. Oh, and these are my references.